Hey, this is Brilith with Nox Game Studios, and today we're going to continue our series implementing multiplayer in Unity using Photon and Playfab. In this video, we're going to design and code our party invite system. This system is going to be using Photon Chat to send invites between players connected to the Photon server. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can stay up to date to the series. Now let's head over to Unity and start designing the UI. So now that we're in Unity, all I'm going to do is go to the main menu scene, and I'm going to clone this friend system. I'm just going to call this party system. I'm going to move it up for this icon here. We'll rename that to party button. Just rename this party. We'll change this image to this UI mail icon. Let me scale this down a little bit. And let's change the color. Maybe button and of another color. The green's not too bad. And then we have this friend container, so we'll call this party container. We also can expand this, call this, we'll enable it just so we can see what we're editing. Editing this portion here. And instead of having this say friends, we're gonna say invites. So say invite text. So here we're actually just going to remove add friend because we don't need that. And then for friend scroll view, we can do party scroll view. We expand this. See, we have this UIFriend, and we're going to remove that, and we're going to make a new one called party invite. So I'm actually going to move this part, that's the container, back down. For this party system, we can remove this UI display friends. And now we have our basic layout. So basically we have a game object that contains everything. It's got a party button right here that we'll be able to click on and open and close it. We'll replace this to open and close the right panel here. Then we have the party container, which is where we'll show our party invites. We have our text. We have our scroll view, so if you have a lot of invites, you'll be able to scroll through it, and those will be displayed in this content game object. So that will get us set up with just the basic layout. Now we need to make the prefab to actually show our party invite. So I'm just gonna drag in this UI friend one, and then we'll right click and unpack completely. I'm just gonna call this UI invite. Inside this UI invite, we can remove the status, and let's now clone this remove button. And we'll have a accept button and the decline button. On the UI friend invites, we can remove this UI friend component. I'm going to change this blue button to the green one. I'm also going to go to our accept button. I'm going to change the cross to a check. And then let's go to the decline. Move that so it's just green. We'll go here to the X and make this green color. This isn't a clear check mark. I think there's a better one we have in the pack. We'll change the color so everything matches. All right. Doesn't look too bad, but it's kind of too much green. So let's change that maybe to a darker color, just black. And feel free to use your artisticness to change it however you would like. So these accept buttons, we'll have to change out the coding for these, as well as we'll have to write code that we can attach to this UI invite. Now that we've made changes here, we need to go to the UI friend system and actually make changes to the prefab. Go to UI friend. So we'll need to have a button here that we can click to invite them. So I'm gonna clone this remove button. And we'll have a invite button. Change the icon again. Maybe we'll use this mail. All right, it looks like these buttons are overlapping a little bit. So we can change the width of these buttons, icons to 25, maybe 25. This icon's too big still. The same one on the remove. All right, perfect. And enable this and see what it looks like in the UI. So we can make it a little bigger, but that's the gist of it. Basically, we have if the player's on, their name, and then a button that we can click for the party invite, and then a X to remove them from your friends. So now that we've set up the UI, let's actually start the coding process. So the first thing we need to add is on this UIFriend, we need to go to the code. So let's open UIFriend. So what we're gonna do is add another public static action, and this will pass in a string, be on invite friend equals delegates. There we go. So let's go down here and let's add another public void invite friend. We're gonna say debug.log, just like we did with the remove friend. We're say clicked to invite friend. I'll do friend dot user ID, and then just like friend remove friend, we're going to do on invite friend dot invoke friend dot user ID. So when we click this button, other scripts that have subscribed to this on invite friend will trigger. So let's switch back over to Unity and set that up. So I'm going to open up the UIFriend prefab. I'm going to go to the invite button. I'm going to change that from remove friend to invite friend. And that should be all we need to do to get that working, to get it started at least. All right, so I'm going to disable our UI friend. Also going to disable our friend container. I'm going to enable the party system, disable the party container. So just like the friend system, we need a party system that'll handle displaying the party invites and handling them. So let's make a new script in our UI, and we'll call this UIDisplayInvites. Before we can start displaying the invites, we need to modify our PhotonChatController that we set up. So let's go to Network Controller, Photon Chat, and let's open up the PhotonChatController. Inside the PhotonChatController, we need to subscribe to that UIFriend event. So let's expand the awake, and let's do UIFriend dot on invite friend. I'll make this handle friend invite. Then we'll need to add a on destroy. We'll do the same thing, UIFriend dot on invite friend. We'll unsubscribe from that. So let's make this handle friend invite method. I'm actually going to repurpose the method that we set up last time, which was a public method, and that was a send direct message. I'm just going to rename that to handle friend invite. It's going to just take in a string, and that's going to be recipient find. So what are we going to do inside this method? We're simply going to send a private message to our friend with our room name. We'll do Photon network dot current room dot name. So this will send a private message to our friend with the room that we're currently in. So you'll see this is broken. We'll remove that because that was just for test code. Let's go down to our on private message. So when we receive a private message, which will be that room invite, we're going to invoke our own event that's going to show that display invite in the UI. So we'll say on room invite invoke, and we'll pass it the message. And that message will be the room name. And we can also add the person it's coming from. So the sender. So let's go up to the top and actually declare this on room invite. Public static action string, comma string. And this will be on room invite equals delegate. Save that. Now let's open up our UIDisplayInvites. I'm just going to clear out all of this code. In the awake, we're going to do PhotonChatController dot on room invite. We'll do handle room invite. Then on destroy, we'll unsubscribe from that. So this is the class that'll be responsible for actually displaying our UI. We need to have a few things here. So let's declare a variable for our invite container. So this will be a transform invite container. We'll also declare another variable for our UIInvite. We haven't set up this class yet, but we will need to do that here in a minute. We'll call this UIInvite prefab. We made the prefab, but we haven't created this UI class. We'll do that. Then let's do serialized field, private rect transform. This is the rect transform for the content area inside of our scrollable view. And these are all things we did for the friend display. And we'll have a vector2, and this will be the original size of the content area. And then we'll have another vector2 that we use for how large the content area needs to increase each time a UI element is added to it. So let's implement this handle room invite. So this is the friend. And this will be the room. So debug.log, say room invite for friend to room. So what we'll do now is we'll instantiate a UIInvite. We'll do UIInvite equals instantiate. And this will be our UIInvite prefab. Parent will be the invite container. And we'll implement this UIInvite class here in a minute. So our UIInvite, we will initialize that. And we'll be passing it in a friend and the room. And we'll make the content rect go up in size. Let's save that, and let's create this UIInvite class. Back in Unity, let's go to code, UI, and create C# script UIInvite. And on our UIInvite game object that we created earlier, let's drag that. Let's enable this. Oh, looks like there's a issue. Yeah, we don't have that yet. That's fine. Oh, this needs to be .delta size. Let's create this initialize method. Okay. So public void initialize. Gotta love that sometimes. String. And this will be the friend name and string room name. So let's save that. Let's switch over here. Now our code is bug-free. So let's switch back to Unity. There's one other compiler. Oh, here on message. This needs to be stated that it is a string because it comes in as an object. So we have to do toString on that. Let's save. Now let's attach this UIInvite. There we go. So we'll declare a serialized field. It's private string called friend name. We'll do another one, private string room name. We'll do friend name equals friend name and room name equals room name. So we're gonna have a couple static events that we'll set here. We'll do public static action, and this will be a string because we'll be passing the room. Be on invite accept, and we'll set delegate, and we'll do public static action, and we don't have to do anything there. We can just do action on invite decline. So let's create a public void accept invite, and another one that is decline invite. This one here we'll do on invite accept dot invoke, and it'll pass in room name. On decline we'll do on invite decline dot invoke, and we actually need to pass in the friend name so we can remove that from our UI. We'll go up here and we'll modify that. We also need to make it where we can have our UI set up correctly so we can see. We'll do serialize field, private TMP. Let's include that library, TMP Pro. This will be TMP text. And this will be friend name text. And we'll do friend name text dot set text. And I'll set that to friend name. So that'll visually set up the prefab. We can remove these additional using statements and save that. Now let's go wire this up. Inside of Unity, let's drag the name text into the friend name text. We also need to make a prefab out of our UIFriend. So let's go to prefabs and drag UIInvite. Now let's go to our party system. Let's drag our UIInvite to the UIInvite prefab. Let's drag our content to the invite container. Now let's open up the UIDisplayInvites because there's a couple things we need to add. In the awake function, let's do content rec equals invite container dot get component. And that'll be the rec transform. So we can actually increase this correctly because this wasn't being assigned. Let's do original size equals content rec dot size delta size. And let's do the increase size is going to be a new vector 2 of 0 on the X. And on the Y, it will be UIInvite prefab dot get component rec transform dot size delta dot Y. And this is similar to what we did with the UI display friends. We also want to create a list of UI invites. We're going to make this invites. This will be private. And here in the awake, we'll do invites equal new list of UI invites. And here, when we're making or handling the room invite, we're going to add invites.add UI invite. So this will keep a list of all the UI invites we have, and we'll end up just removing and adding these. So when we go to our UI invite, instead of passing in a room name and friend name, we can also do one where it passes in just this. We'll do UI invite on both of those, do this. So when we decline and when we accept, we're doing this on invite accept. So let's go back to our UI display invites. And let's subscribe to those. We'll do UI invite dot on invite accept. And we'll do handle invite accept. And then we'll do another one where we do invite on decline. And I'll do a handle decline invite decline. Copy both of these. And we'll unsubscribe on destroy. Let's implement these two methods. I'll bring them down here. All right, so we'll do invite invite, and we will if invites contain invite, then we're going to remove invite.remove invites.remove invite, and we'll do destroy invite.gameObject. So this will get it out of the UI so we don't see it anymore, and won't have it on our list anymore. And we're actually going to do that on both of these, because if we accept it, we don't want it to show anymore, and if we decline it, we don't want it to be seen anymore as well. We go back to our UIInvite. We're going to also need to have another action that we call that we're going to be sending to our Photon controller that'll actually set a variable that'll allow us to leave the current room we're in if we're in one, or just go ahead and join our friend's room. So we're just gonna do another public static action. This one will be a string, be on invite accept delegate on room invite accept. We'll call that room invite accept. We'll do on room invite accept invoke. We'll do room. Okay. So we will be modifying our PhotonConnector here in the Unity method region. Let's add a subscription to our UIInvite on room invite accept. We'll do handle room invite accept, and let's create a on destroy. I'll do UIInvite on room accept. We'll unsubscribe. And I'm just going to move this. These two are next to each other. Let's implement this method. I go to our private methods and add that here. So room name. So what I'm going to use is a player prefs dot set string photon room name. Basically, we're going to store this photon room name into our player pref, and then we're just going to do if photon network dot in a room. So we're going to check to see if the player's in a room. If we are, we're going to do photon network dot leave room. And when we leave room, we're going to end up reconnecting. And when we're reconnecting and this else statement, we will join the specific photon room. So in this else statement, we'll do if photon network dot in lobby. So we need to be in a lobby. Then we'll do join player room. Create that method. And all that will be is photon network dot join room, and it will be, we'll store a variable room name equals player prefs dot get string photon room, and we'll just pass that in there. So if we're in a lobby, then we'll join them. If we're in a room, then we'll leave. And now let's go to our Photon callbacks. And on this on join lobby, we're going to get our Photon friends. And then we're going to, if we'll store our variable string room name equals player prefs dot get string photon room. If string dot is not null or empty, then we'll, for room name, then we'll do join player room. Let's save that. And what we could do, so we can test this, is if we, that player pref isn't set up, we could create a room. I don't know if we're doing create photon room. We have a method here, but I don't think we're using it anywhere. So let's just do create photon room. I'll do photon network dot local player dot user ID. So we'll try to join whatever photon room we've set, possibly. And if that's blank, then we'll just create our own personal room that'll just be called our user ID. And we'll just make it where it's our user ID plus like room. Do it like that. And once we successfully join a player room, so here in our join player room, we're also going to set player prefs dot set string photon room to, we'll just make that empty. So we will erase what was there. Let's save that. And let's see if we need to set up anything else. So back in Unity, I'm gonna just disable this party container. And I'm gonna go to the party button and I'm just going to drag itself here. And I'm gonna do toggle object. Now if I save this, I should be able to play and click here, display our invites, and click here to display our friends. Let's clear out this test one that we set up. Go UIInvite. Let's enable this. Make sure that our accept button, oh, these aren't set up yet. So let's go UIInvite and update the wiring here. I'm gonna apply this to the prefab. Open up the prefab. I'm gonna go to the accept button and drag in UIInvite. UIInvites, let's go accept invite. And then for the decline, same thing. We'll do decline invite. And now disable that in the UI. Save. So I'm gonna go to the login scene. I'm gonna play. Type in Brilith, login. You go look at friends. And for some reason we don't have any friends. And we can see the invites. We don't have any invites yet. Go to our console, you can see we have an error message. Basically what's happened is we tried to find friends in Photon, but we've already joined a room, this Brillis room. And when you're in a room in Photon, you can't do this find friends. In the next video, we'll look to use Photon Chat to handle finding friends. But for now, let's stop this. And we're just gonna create a simple button here in the menu screen that we can click to join / create a room. Let's do that now. Canvas, this will be temporary, so we'll hit a button here. Join room. We'll hit a on-click event. I'm gonna drag in the PhotonConnector because we're gonna go in here and create a new method. We have this create room private method, but let's also make a public that we call this method here. So we'll go down to our public methods, do public void on create room clicked. And we'll pass in room name. And all we'll do is do create photon room. We'll pass it in name. And then here where we did the if else statements, we'll just get rid of this for now. And let's save that. So back in Unity, let's switch back to the login screen. Hit save, play, Brilith, login. And you can see we don't have any errors this time. We can see Nox and Gotcha. Hit join room. Oh, we actually didn't wire it up to join a specific room. Let's go to our button and do PhotonConnector. save our changes, back to login, play, Brilith. See, we have these friends, clear console. I'm gonna click join room. You can see we've joined the test room now. And I'm gonna hit the invite for gotcha. And you can see this error message popped up because we're refreshing our friends list every so often. But you can see, click to invite friend gotcha. So let's do a build and see how it goes. All right, so I have 2 clients here. So on the left, I'm gonna do Brilith. On the right, I'll log in as gotcha. See here, if we look at our friends, gotcha's offline, I'll log in. This should appear green here in a second. There we go. So you can see either one of these have invites. So I'm gonna have Brilith join a room. And now I'm gonna hit the invite. You can see this aired out because it just tried to find friends, but since we're in a room, we can't find friends because you can't do that in Photon. So I'm gonna hit this invite button. I'm gonna go over to gotcha, and you can see now he's got an invite from Brilith. I'm gonna hit the checkbox. You can see this disappears. And here in a second, when it tries to refresh friends, we should get a error message pop up, which yep, there it is. So we'll do a real quick fix to make this where you don't error out. And in the next video, we'll do a permanent fix so we can have this friend system and you can get your friends and you can update their statuses even while you're in a Photon room. So let's close this out and go back into Unity. All right, so back in Unity, I'm gonna go to our friends, Photon friend controller, and open that up. So here in our update statement, this is where we're gonna do the find Photon friends. So what I wanna do is just add if Photon network dot is in a room, and we're just gonna return. This will make it where we don't see that error message anymore. So I'm gonna build it out and verify that change. So now that the build's done, we'll do Brilith on the left side, gotcha on the right. You can see Brilith's online. This will refresh here in a second. All right, shows gotcha online. So let's join room, invite. Now we can see Brilith has been invited, or has invited gotcha. So I'll hit the check. And you can see we are not having that error message happen anymore. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. The next video will focus around modifying the friend system to use Photon Chat so we can get and update friend statuses while we're in a Photon room. Also, please join our Discord if you have any questions or requests for additional videos. There will be a link to Discord below, along with some extra resources. I hope you have a good one, and as always, thanks for watching.